I've been traveling from toe to toe. Everywhere I have been, I'll find some old Jim Crow. One thing, people, I want everybody to know. You're gonna find some Jim Crow every place you go. Down in Louisiana.
Wow, what a protest song from the 1930s, written and performed by the great blues musician Lead Belly. And the song was called Jin Crow Blue, if you don't know about it. The last sentence of this song is very powerful. Please get together, break up this old Jim Crow. So today, we're not going to be discussing so much about Jim Crow, but how Jim Crow seemed to be in the past this racial caste, through these Jim Crow laws. And how is that Michelle Alexander comes up with this examination, great examination in her book, The New Jim Crow, Mass Incarceration in the Age of Color Blindness. Like, how is it that she comes with this examination? And once that I was reading about it, I got into so much research, looking into data, trying to figure out how does mass incarceration is making the new racial case. But I don't see it as a new racial case. I think it has been in there, but people for some reason don't see it or don't look through it, don't look at mass incarceration as a racial case, because they might think that, well, this is the way the people should be punished. And that's why it has been created to control crime. Well, after this examination of Michelle Alexander, I completely like agree with her. And also I agree with Ms. Angela G. Davis, reading from when she was asking to people if, or she was questioning people in her examination as well, if prisons are absolute. I think that we are, in a time when we need to start reevaluating what is that we're doing for mass incarceration. I don't think that we're in the right channel. So, hi, this is Myra, and I will be talking about what I consider is our new racial case. Not so new, it's been there, but it is the mass incarceration, and how this mass incarceration reminded us of the Jim Crow era. Yeah, that's something that how that can parallels Jim Crow era. Well, let me give you a little background about Jim Crow laws. Jim Crow laws were enforced between the late 19th and early 20th century to make sure that the Black community was seen as a second-class citizen by segregating them from white folks and making them adopt a life in which they couldn't be equal to the eyes of a racist white community. So how is this giving the label, to the Black community in this Jim Crow era as a second-class citizen? They were not seen equal in any way. So Michelle Alexander, like I was saying, suggests in her book, The New Jim Crow Law, the New Jim Crow, Mass Incarceration in the Age of Color Blindness, that we have no end of racial case in America because we have redesigned it. And I completely agree with her. She's referring, when she talks about redesigning it, is in the form of mass incarceration. That's what she's referring to. The best way I have linked mass incarceration as a new racial case, if not the one of those another racial case, is when I think about what mass incarceration has done to felons of color, who currently are the ones in prison in higher numbers than white felons. And this is one thing, guys, it has not changed. Okay, you can go and research, you can go and find so much information and data showing you how is this racial disparity, this, there is this racial bias in our justice system, talking about imprisonment rates. So when I went over there to look for some data, about incarceration and imprisonment rates, I went to the Pew Research, which I had mentioned, and I'm going to quote them. While the rate of imprisonment has decreased the most in recent years, Black Americans remain far more likely than their Hispanic and white counterparts to be imprisoned. And this is a reality that Michelle Alexander, you know, writes on this examination that she did in her book, The New Jim Crow, and the mass incarceration in the age of colorblindness. So one way to reflect, to understand this racial caste in form of mass incarceration among our Black community and people of color is like Michelle Alexander had pointed it, that the first thing that we can look at it is that we need to recognize the mass incarceration is a racialized system of social control. And the second is that once that the ex-felons are out of jail, they became a sort of a second-class citizen, kind of similar what was happening, in Jim Crow era. Once that the ex-felons out of jail, yes, they certainly became, and I think is less than second-class citizen, lower than a second-class citizen, because they're denied a normal life. Uh, there's some rights that they're no longer, can have, like voting. But there's some. When I went through look for the national conference, to the NCSL, the National Conference of State Legislatures, I found that the District of Columbia, Maine, and Vermont, the felons never lose their right to vote. But what is that? We have still 19 states, and felons lose their voting rights while they're incarcerated. And they receive like this automatic restoration after or upon release. But this is another racial caste system through mass incarceration. 19 states, there are like many states, not giving the right to imprison people to get their right to vote. This is huge, guys. They're not having a word in legislature. They don't have a word on decision making for policies. This is huge. So yes, when she talks about the new racial case, this is an example of it. Stripping away this kind of right, it was similar to Jim Crow era. Now, this is another thing that we should take in consideration. One of the biggest challenges for ex-felons who were people of color is to cope with their new reality, in which our society still makes their life impossible to live. Why? Because as a society, we tend to agree with punishment as a social control. This is something that we have learned from our own society, from our own laws, from our own precedents. Angela G. Davis, Angela Davis, on the prisons, when she's questioning if our prisons obsolete, she remarked that as a society we condemn criminals through all media we consume. And even our own presidents make sure that we understand that imprisonment is the answer. And many of them send the message that those criminals should follow their fate of imprisonment. And we cannot forget the fact that many in prison are people of color. So this is another way to see how difficult, like our Black community and people of color end up by not having not just some rights, but after they become the ex-felons, after they're going back to society, there's so many things that they're blocking their own opportunities. Unfortunately, we don't see that real problem, the mass incarceration for our people of color parallels with the treatment that has given to them through this racial caste, like Jim Crow. And like the Jin Crow era, which ultimately limited opportunities and allowed discrimination against African Americans and people of color. So to wrap it up today, guys, I have two questions for the public. And please feel free to comment on giving your own opinions on my Facebook page that is available for all of you. And please just be respectful. Okay. So my Facebook, I'll give you the link, is www.facebook.com/Myra, Mayra dot Padilla, Padilla .5. So that's my Facebook page. And the two questions I have for you guys is, can we think of mass incarceration as our new racial case control to limit opportunities for our Black community and people of color, like it happened when Jim Crow laws were enforced? Can we think of mass incarceration as that new racial case to control those opportunities, the life of Black community and people of color, like it happened when Jim Crow laws were enforced? And my second question to wrap it up uh, is, how can we help as a society to stop this type of racialized social control system? How can we help as a society to stop this type of racialized social control system? Is it mass incarceration the solution that we use as for controlling crime? Do we have seen positive? Can we understand if this is actually the best solution that we have? So all that questioning is important. And you want to know more about this topic or want to know about prison reform, please open the links below. If you want to know about the projects that are out there for prison reforming, for changing laws, and or you want just precisely to know more about this author, who is Michelle Alexander, and her examination on this book on the new Jim Crow. There's some links that I have for you. You can go to my Facebook page, and there is lots of data and information that you can enjoy for your own reading and analysis. Well, thank you so much. And this is Zach Williams. I'm just finishing with Zach Williams, No Longer Slaves. Have a great day.